No, yeah. Go
Are
for
we
it.
ready? I mean, I'm ready.
Forget it. We'll do it live, like Bill Riley said.
Bet.
Yo, back in the building, United in the States. Kevin, Football or Soccer TV. Mo, Classic Man United.
That's Man United. We're
It's
still here.
We
it's been a
outside. We
while.
outside.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a
Um,
while.
last time we spoke, we were all super optimistic. Ineos moving mad in the summer. Nothing like 3 months of Manchester United to turn all that optimism into mud. But anyway, before we get into all that, Kevin, what's going on? Tell the people what you've been up to these last couple months.
Not much, bro. Just besides United, life is good. But trying to release some content, trying to push. There's a lot of things to talk about right now, and the fan base is kind of very divided. So I think the fans have a lot to say. So it's just a good time to push content out there. So yeah, just been trying to do that, bro.
Same. Mo, you let me
Yes.
know what you've been up to, man. What's going on? What's new?
Yeah, like Kelvin said, like I've been working hard trying to create like a lot of content, even though like the international break has come to and like traveling to Manchester back and forth and with the job like full time schedule, then it's kind of like difficult to like get a time to sometimes travel on match days, even though like I want to go to Manchester. I haven't created any content like the kind of videos that I shoot. I haven't created for like a week now or 2 weeks now, which is really bad. But like, hey, I'm just waiting for the like international break to be over so like we get back to Old Trafford and start working hard.
Yeah, man. Same. International break, although, United seems to carry the international break for the UK press and soccer media in general. Luckily, England is there to stink up the place to take some of that attention away from United. But at the same time, there is a lot of stuff to talk about, from the season anyway. So jumping right into that, I'm just going to read out some stats here from United starts to the season. Okay, not all negative. There is some positive in there if you look at the stats.
Okay, let's go.
14th in the league, very
Mm.
negative. 5 goals scored in 7 matches. Not looking good. But tied for ninth in shots on target with 34. City has 49. Tied for first with shots that have hit the woodwork, ninth. 8 goals conceded, fourth in the league. Not great, but still it's not bad compared to last year. Second in clean sheets behind Liverpool. Liverpool only giving up 2 goals. We're second in clean sheets. -3 goal difference, pretty terrible. Defensively, first in interceptions, first in tackles. Offensively, seventh in passes. And again, we are, I forget what the exact number is. Last week we were second, but I forget what we are after Villa. But we're somewhere between second and fourth in big chances missed. Again, what do you guys? And I'll start with Kevin here. Obviously nobody thinks this is a good start to the season, but what do you guys think of what we've seen so far? Is it a complete mess and we should blow it up? Or do you see a few of the positives here in the stats and, maybe there's a chance we could turn it around?
Bro, rip it all up, man. Just rip it all off. And I honestly, like, we could talk a lot about the managers, which I'm gonna start, but the players as well. Like, it's been a disgrace of a season by Bruno. Bruno has been dreadful, and I don't understand why we keep trying to make things work with Bruno, even though he's our captain. I get it, but just because you're a captain doesn't make you undroppable. So, for me, right now there is a lot of problems, but the main issue, it's still the same as last year in my opinion, which would be the manager. And we got to be honest with ourselves. And I guess, like, I didn't see him turning around from last season. And you guys know my feelings on that, because I was very adamant that I wanted him out all of the majority of last season. And I knew that things weren't going to change because of even though the structure is here, like, I just feel like he can't develop players. He can't get the best out of the players that he had and he brought. So that, for me, like, looking at the players that they brought this season, this transfer window, I thought the same. And I was like, I just think that, it wasn't a fluke season and it wasn't mitigating circumstances. It was just he's a terrible manager, and a coach, and the game management is really bad, and that's still been an issue. Substitutions. If you look at the problems this year, is the like you said, we're like what 14th in the league. You said we have like negative goal difference, or if not like zero, I think it was. So it's like that.
-3.
There you go, -3 goal difference, and you just look at it. We haven't scored a goal in Old Trafford in this whole like just once, which was like the Fulham game, and we're already how many games in? How many games into the season we're already in, and that's just like things are not improving. Like if we're to see, like I feel like we're nitpicking, right? I know, Chris, you're gonna say that we're keeping the ball better, or we're maybe like I know some things that you're gonna because I do see some things that are a little bit different from last year, but I feel like they're just really small things that don't really make a difference. Like the main difference for me is we're not getting results, right? We're not going into games confident that we're going to be able to win. We're going to be able to outscore a team. We can't go into the games like that confident. Our goal difference is still really bad. That hasn't improved since last season. Garnacho is not firing. Rashford a little bit started firing, and then Eric Ten Hag drops him. Ahmad, our best player, in my opinion, or in the start of the season, has been our best player, drops him. Bruno Fernandez has been stinking out the gaff. Keeps him on, and even after he got the red card overturned and all these things, like I just feel like he's still stubborn. So for me, I don't see things turning around. I think if we keep this manager and Ineos try to keep this manager, it's delaying the inevitable, because I think it's gonna happen regardless. If we keep him, something we're gonna get a bad result against. I feel like we're one game away from another crisis. You know what I mean? And for me, that's rightly so, because losing to Brentford, which is a possibility, because Thomas Frank is a good coach, and Brentford scored 5 goals the other day. That's more goals than we've scored in the league. You know what I mean? Um, so it's like it's a good match. There's a possibility that we could even lose that game. I feel like we're one game away from having another crisis again, and I just think that it's time. It's been time, but now it's, I guess, the right time to jump ship and at least get someone that can get some sort of consistency in these players. Get some sort of response to these players, because I think the players have stopped playing for him. To be honest, like this is probably why he,
Really?
yeah, he's probably why he dropped Rashford, or this is probably why he started Evans and Maguire, because he's choosing the players that will play for him. And once you lose the players, and once you lose the confidence in the players, then you're done. So I don't see it turning around, and my stand still stand, like I still stand where I was last season. This guy just needs to go, and I know there's bigger issues, um, and we'll talk about those issues. But I want to talk a little bit more later. But we'll get into that about Ineos. But for now, this guy is the main issue at the moment. So this guy needs to go, man.
Okay. Yeah. Listen, it's hard to argue with you, right? Last year I felt like there were mitigating circumstances. There were injuries. There's a few injury problems right now we have to deal with, but that's besides the point. But last year there were crazy injuries. We had one healthy fullback for months. I would push back on his, being a terrible coach, and he's clearly not a terrible coach. He did develop players at Ajax. 10% up until this summer. 10% of all players sold in Europe for 40 million euros or more were developed by Eric Ten Hag at some
Y-
point.
You don't need to be a good
No,
manager
no,
to
just
manage Ajax. Like, let's be honest. It's
but
Eredivisie.
that's
It's
not
it's
true. They
not.
didn't win the title in the 4 years before he got there. And it wasn't just him. They had a good structure in place. They signed the right players. I'm not saying it was all down to him, but we don't have to be, black and white on every issue. He's a good coach. Whether he's the right coach for United, that's a question. But I will bring that up. I will say, though, and we can discuss this later again, is that, a lot of the things that he was kind of given a hard time for last year, not rotating, being stubborn, not switching tactics, he's been doing this year, and he's getting slated for it because the results aren't there. The playing Evans and Maguire, right? Like we were pressing Porto and they were ignoring our press and going long, and Martinez and De Ligt were struggling with the long ball. He put in Maguire and Evans, and then that snuffed out the long ball, right? That like was a tactical switch that he made that worked, and now he's being slated for it as not being, someone who's making the right decisions.
Where do you
But
stand
again,
with
I don't
him?
want to.
Are you in? Mo, I want to ask you guys, Mo and Chris, are you guys Eric Ten Hag in or out still? I just want to know because we haven't spoken, well, especially you, Mo. I haven't spoken with you in a while, and Chris, I know last time we were, but it was a couple weeks ago. Seeing what's happened and what are you guys, Ten Hag in or out?
Nah, for me, I used to be 100% like Ten Hag in. I want him to be successful at United. But as I say, I'm 100% United fan. I'm not a Ten Hag fan. I want the team to
Thank
be
you.
successful, not Ten Hag. If the team is going to be successful, I support Ten Hag. But if he's not going to get the team where we belong, let me just give you some stats from preseason. Yeah, I lost interest in Ten Hag after the Community Shield game to Man City that we lost on penalties here. During from summer, from our preseason, yeah, we played against Rosenborg. We lost to Rosenborg by 1-0. We played Rangers. We won by 2-0. We lost to Arsenal by 2-1. We went ahead to beat Robertsis by 3-2. We lost to Liverpool 3-0 before we went to the FA Cup final 1-1, and we got away with Meda, and it took us to penalty, and Man City won. So out of the 6 games, including the FA Cup Community Shield, we only won 2 and lost 4. That's before the league even started. So even the preseason, if you're rating it out of 100, I could say we've only won 20% out of 100. That's our preseason, which is like not good for a starter, for a manager, for a club like United. This season against Fulham, if we could be honest with each other, the game against Fulham at Old Trafford, like we didn't deserve to win that game. If Fulham had taken their chances, Fulham would have beaten us at Old Trafford. I was at Old Trafford and I couldn't believe like this is our first game of the season, including all the signings that we've had. Apart from Ugarte that came in late, we had everyone on time. We had late on time, even though it was the name. Lenny Euro got off injured against us now, but we had Delete in time. We had Mazarawi in time, and that's the players that he recommended. These are his players that he chose that he wanted to sign. Apart from those two, we went ahead to lose it to Liverpool 3-0 at Old Trafford at the beginning of the season. You can't say like the players are tired because like it's been a long season because they have like Europa League to
It
play.
should have been more than 3-0. It should have been like 6-0 or 7.
We lost to Liverpool by 3-0 at Old Trafford. We beat Southampton 3-0. Southampton are struggling, so we don't even count that. Barnsley, we don't even count Barnsley. We played Crystal Palace 0-0. We went ahead to play FC20 0-0, 1-1 at Old Trafford. FC20. Is that the standard of Man United now that we have to play 1-1 to FC20? Even with that, we struggled with FC20. Tottenham came to beat us at Old Trafford by 3-0. You know what Sir Alex Ferguson used to tell the players? I was listening to Gary Neville the last time. Anytime they play Tottenham, he said, "Come on, lads, it's Tottenham. Come on, lads, it's Tottenham." Which Tottenham is easy beat. We can just easily beat Tottenham. But look now, Tottenham come to Old Trafford. They were supposed to even beat us like 5-0 or 6-0. This manager like is not good enough. I've always wanted him to be successful at United, but with these statistics, how long is he going to take to get United to that level? Look at Unai Emery. Unai Emery took 2 seasons to get Aston Villa where they are now. His first season he didn't like perform really well. Second season he got them into Champions League, into top 4. The following they just beat Bayern Munich at Villa Park. Now if you go into Villa, if a Premier League team is going to Villa, they're scared to come out to go to Villa. Your best you could get from Villa is a draw. Apart from Man City, any team that goes to Villa Park, the best you could get is draw at Villa Park.
Man City lost there last year.
Well,
they beat Man City at home last year. Villa did.
Exactly. Yeah, they beat Man City last year. So look at Unai Emery. Unai Emery has just taken 2 seasons, and look at the budget that Unai Emery has spent at Villa, and look at the budget that Ten Hag has spent at United. So Unai Emery has taken 2 seasons to turn things around. Look at the manager of Brighton. He's been there for just this season. Brighton were struggling last season, but look at this season, what Brighton is doing this season. If you take Brighton, Aston Villa, and Crystal Palace, look at these 3 young managers. The manager of Crystal Palace just came in at the end of almost like 3 or 4 games for the season to end, even though they were struggling. But look at what Crystal Palace is doing this season. But Ten Hag is still like struggling to find that rhythm. Come on, Chris. This is United. How long is it going to take for him to get United where he belongs? He's got everything that he wanted. Look at the players that he got. The team that played against Liverpool at Old Trafford that lost by 3 goals to 0 had almost 6 of his players or 5 of his players. It had Onana in it. It had Mazarawi in it. It had Delete in it. It had Lisandro Martinez in it. It had Ugarte in it. And these are all his signings. So how long is he going to take to turn things around?
He's made him look worse. He's made it look worse.
Didn't play in that match.
He's made it look worse. He's made the lit look worse.
Ugarte didn't play in that match.
Yeah. Ugarte
and De Ligt has been good all season. I don't like until the last 2 matches. Actually, in the Villa match, I would say De Ligt looked good. It was only the Spurs and the Porto match where De Ligt didn't look up to speed. And again,
the Villa match, he didn't use De Ligt because he used Evans and Harry Maguire. De Ligt came in off the bench. He used Johnny Evans and Harry Maguire. So if you sign the Leeds best defender I think can turn around, you have Lisandro Martinez. This are your signing, but yesterday you leave them back on the bench and you bring the old players that we had before you came in, Harry Maguire and Johnny Evans. Then what's the point? Nothing has changed at United. We're still struggling. For me, like I always saying, I'm not going to be biased. I want United to be successful. It doesn't matter if it's going to be Ole Gunnar, if it's going to be Ruud van Nistelrooy, if it's going to be Southgate. All matters to me is Man United. Come on, we've had enough. Like, how much do we pay? We pay almost £150 or £200 to go and watch United. Travel all the way from London to Manchester to just go and face that embarrassment and come back home again. Come on,
bro. I was supposed to go to the Chelsea game in November. I put a deposit down for the ticket. I'm not going anymore. I'm not gonna waste my money, my hard-earned money, to go watch that diabolical football. I'm not. It's not worth it for me.
What pains me about Erik ten Hag is anytime he goes to an interview, people ask him questions. He keep on saying, "Oh, we won 2 trophies last season." Come on. Do you brag with
lost his head?
Do you brag with FA Cup and Carling Cup? United, we are beyond that. Let Crystal Palace, let Brighton, let Aston Villa brag with those kind of trophies. We want to compete for the Premier League. We want to compete in the Champions League. That's where United belong. United is a worldwide brand. Let the small teams brag with this club. Anytime he goes on an interview and asks him, "Oh, don't forget, we won 2 trophies in the last 2 seasons." Is that why you were brought in to win us Carling Cup? And we could have kept Ole Gunnar. Ole Gunnar could have done that for us. But
he didn't.
Much better.
But Ali didn't.
Ole finished second. We finished second with Ole.
He didn't win anything. He got to finals and he lost in finals.
He was in the process. Even though like the team that he had, the players was really bad. How much money has United spent on Erik ten Hag, and how much money did United sign? Ole wanted the board to sign Haaland for him, but they didn't sign. But this man has got all of his players in. He's got almost half of his highest team in. How many more players does he want? He had a chance to sign Ivan Toney. What's the name? Harry Kane, but he didn't sign all of them. He went to sign Joshua Zirkzee.
He wanted Harry Kane. He expected Harry Kane. They said that they couldn't deliver Harry Kane for him. He asked for him. He gave an interview last year where he said he was expecting Harry Kane.
He asked for Mount, which did we really need that? He asked for Anthony, 80 million flop. He asked for Onana, which did we really need at the time? We've asked for so many players that
Onana's been our best player this year.
Okay, but what about the other 2? What about Mount? What about
Mason Mount was bad because of injuries. Anthony wasn't an 80 million, but he didn't pay 80 million for Anthony. Anthony and Casemiro were panic buys. So yeah, okay, he wasn't good enough. But if he came in at 40 million, would people be saying all this stuff?
Even some of he's cost United like a lot of money. Some of the decisions and signing that he did are like uncalled for. Example, Mazarawi. For me, if you ask me personally, Mazarawi hasn't added a thing to the United team. Wan-Bissaka was doing exactly what Mazarawi was doing. What has he added to the team? There are some challenges that Wan-Bissaka could have won. He cost United. Now Mazarawi has undergone surgery, had surgery now. So now we're back to square one. We'll be lacking someone because the only right back or left back we have now is Diego Dalot. Mazarawi is off injured. He just had heart surgery now. Harry wasn't. Luke Shaw is still not back yet. Harry Amas is the only left back you have in the team, in the academy, unless you want to bring Victor Lindelof in to play right back or left back for you, or you want to use John Evans to play right back or left back, or you want to use Lisandro Martinez to put right back or left back, which is uncalled. Like the signing that he did wasn't like.
I don't think. Okay. Just really quickly, we talk about this every year, right? Every summer up until this past summer, we talk about.
You're still in, right?
The way I have a problem with the question Ten Hag in, Ten Hag out. Because again, we're all United fans, right? We just want United to succeed. My position is that I don't see things changing if we sack the manager now. And we can talk about that in 1 second. But just, we're talking about preseason results. Rosenberg was mid-season, right? It wasn't like they were also on their preseason.
No,
Rosenberg was mid-season. They're playing Norway. They were like,
Rosenberg was the first game we played on our preseason. That was the first game that we played on preseason.
It was their mid-season, though. It was like the 20th game they had played. So they were fully fit. Yeah, they have a different season schedule. So they were the middle of the season. Listen, we can't take preseason results that seriously. Let's not like go down that road where we're counting. If he had won every preseason match 10-0 and he had the same start that he had to the regular season, I wouldn't say, hey, we're winning these matches 10-0, give him a chance. Like, I would say that's preseason. Preseason doesn't count. Louis Van Gaal.
But it happened last season too. It happened last season. We had the worst
Ten Hag's first
preseason. We had
Ten Hag's first preseason. Hold on.
Let me finish my point. It was the worst start to Premier League season. And again,
let me finish my point real quick. Okay, so like the preseason does not matter as far as the season goes. Okay, and we talk about this for the last couple seasons about how the Glazers were the problem, how the Glazers were bad, how the Glazers didn't do the right things, right? But now that it's Ten Hag out time, our point is Ten Hag made the wrong signings. Ten Hag didn't bring the right players. Ten Hag brought Anthony in. It wasn't Ten Hag who panic bought Anthony and Casemiro for a combined 140 million because they lost the first two matches of the season. That was the Glazers regime, okay? Again, what I'm saying now is the team is not doing well. The team is not doing great. Let's not assign things that aren't Ten Hag's fault to Ten Hag.
But it doesn't mean he should be absolved from not getting the best out of those players just because he didn't want them. He still needs to do a job as a manager to get the best out of the players that he wanted.
I don't disagree that. I don't disagree.
Chris, who do you support? Do you support United or you support Ten Hag?
I support Manchester United.
You support Manchester United, so you just have to support. You have to just go in for the best for the club.
But I'm not gonna push false narratives make points that I don't think are true.
Listen, the game against
a different manager.
The game against FC Porto, Rashford was having the best game of his season, and he took Rashford off just after 45 minutes. What was his reason? He was reserving Rashford for Aston Villa game because he knows Aston Villa game is the game of his life. He knows if he loses against Aston Villa, he'll be sacked. Why would you take Rashford whilst the player is having the game of his season? There are games that Rashford doesn't deserve to be in the first 11. Garnacho was our best player last season, but why is Garnacho starting from the bench this season? Why can't you put Rashford on the bench if Rashford is not performing? You put Garnacho on the bench. You know, a player that has a lot of form, that is on form, if you keep leaving on the bench, he loses his confidence. Do you know that, Chris? Chris, you know a player who is on fire, a player who has like the form of his life. If you keep leaving him on the bench, he's going to lose his confidence. You know that, Chris?
But we've been rotating. We've been playing. Like guys that come off the bench, they start, they change. And look, if you look at the Porto game, both goals that Porto scored in the first half were Rashford's fault. Seriously. No, listen, he had a great game. He scored a goal. He assisted the second goal. And I don't know. We don't know what's going on in the sidelines. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. We don't know if Rashford had a knock. They've been rotating. I feel like it's something to do with keeping players fresh with the schedule and the injury. I know what he said. He's a liar. All managers are liars in press conferences. Nobody tells the truth. Pep tells the truth because he's Pep and no one gives a shit. Klopp tells the truth because he's won a title, the first one in 30 years for Liverpool. He won a Champions League, the first one in 10 years. He could do stuff like snatch a mic out of a reporter's hand and get away with it. And nobody seems to say boo about Klopp. But those guys can tell the truth because they've got that sort of, grace with the press. Every other manager lies because if they don't lie, then it's going to be a 20-page media story about what happened. We don't know if Rashford has a knock. He can't play that much. We don't know if they had a fight in the dressing room. We don't know what happened. I'm not saying this is the right decision, but if you watch the first goal that they scored, Rashford's man, you can see Rashford is jogging in the screen. His man sprint past him. He's the extra man, crosses it into the box, and then there's a scramble, and then there's a goal scored.
So if
Right.
he
The
took it,
second one,
so if he took him out like for that reason, then why don't you take out Bruno? Why do you start Bruno week in week out when he's been one of the worst players this season? Like, you get me? Like, he's picking favorites. He's picking and choosing who he wants to pick and who he wants to sub out. You get me? It's not consistent. This guy is just picking favorites, and I don't like that. It shouldn't be about your favorites. It should be about what's best for the team and what's best for the game that you have in hand, not the next game. Aston Villa, we need to get the 3 points right
Where did he
now.
get 3 points from the FC Porto game? You know, he's played 20 European games and he only 10 European games. He only won one. And we do like, how many draws have we got in European games, and how many have we lost in European games since Eric Ten Hag came in?
Like 9, we haven't won in we won 1 in 9 or 10.
We only
Like,
won one. We only
it's
won one. This is
disgraceful.
really bad. Come on, we are United. Come
no,
on.
it's been bad. It's been bad.
You say it's been bad. You agree
You have
with
the
us?
resources that you have. You have the resources. You have everything at hand. Come on, why can't you turn things around? Do you think Unai Emery is going to take Unai Emery this long to turn things around at Old Trafford at United?
Yes,
With the
it'll
resources
take him
that we have.
longer.
I
He
feel
already
like
failed at Arsenal.
Chris. I feel like you
Arsenal,
agree with us.
He didn't get enough time at Arsenal. They didn't give him that much time. If they give him the time they give, what's the name, Mikel Arteta at Arsenal, he would have done much better than what Arteta did with Arsenal. If they give Unai Emery that opportunity, you know, Unai Emery is not a loser. Look at what he did at Sevilla. Look at what he did at Robertis. Look at what he did at what's the name, Paris Saint-Germain. Even though he didn't achieve much with Paris Saint-Germain, but come on, look at what the man is doing at Villa.
No, I agree. He's done a good job. Again, that squad has spent, like Villa have spent money. People think they haven't spent money. They spent money under Gerrard. They've spent around 500 million since 2020. They've spent a lot of money. There's not like they haven't spent any money. Villa have rich owners. They have a club with history. I'm not saying it's the same thing, but they've spent a lot of money.
Nothing
Right?
like
And look, the Europa League, listen, I agree. We're all saying the same thing. The football is not good enough. The results aren't good enough. Something needs to change right now. I agree. The one thing I will say about the Europa League, we're 21st out of 24 teams. The 24 teams that pass through make it. I'm not saying Ten Hag wasn't trying to win. I'm not saying we shouldn't try to get a higher seed. But 24 teams out of I forget what the group size is. It's for Europa League. It's 36. Yeah, as long as you're in the top 24 teams, you make it into the next round. So, like, I'm not like, if you look at the Champions League groups right now, this is Bayern is 15th in the Champions League group. Barcelona is 16th. Real Madrid is 17th. PSG is 19th, right? Like, I'm not panicking over the Europa League or Champions League if I was one of those teams standings right now, just because, you know, as long as you get into the knockout, it's fine. Is it part of a larger problem? Can we look at it in isolation and say it's fine? No, because the team isn't playing well in any of the competitions. So I do agree that it's bad that they're playing that way. But at the same time, we went to Porto. It's a tough place to play. We scored 3 goals. We looked terrible for a long period of the game. And then we fought our way back in it. Even the Spurs match, yeah, we were down 1-0. Probably the worst match we've played all season. But then we got that Bruno red card, and there was no chance we could come back. Spurs were up 2-0 on Leicester at the beginning of the season, or 1-0, and Leicester came back to tie the game. Spurs were up on Brighton, right? They were up 2-0 on Brighton. Brighton came back and won 3-2. Spurs are shit. They give you a chance to come back. That red card gave us the opportunity, or took away our opportunity to come back in that match. Listen, I hear what you guys are saying. I'm not necessarily arguing with you and saying you're wrong and saying Ten Hag is out. I finished watching these matches, and in my opinion, I'm like, I don't know if we can continue doing this. And this, I think, is the next point is, you know, if we do get rid of Ten Hag now, like what changes at this point, right? Like, what's going to change if we get rid of Ten Hag? First of all, who do we bring in? Who's the manager that we bring in?
Okay,
to replace Ten Hag?
Can I ask you a question real quick, Chris? So
Sure.
I feel like you agree with most of the things that we're saying, like that Ten Hag is out of his depth. But I feel like you don't want to change the manager because
putting words in my mouth.
No, I know. That's what I'm asking you. I'm asking you, right?
I don't feel he's out of his depth. I'm not saying that.
Okay,
but
well,
go on. Continue.
To a certain degree, like he's made big mistakes so far this season. Uh, I, I wanted to ask you, like, do you not want to change the manager because you're afraid that, like, not afraid, but you know that it won't change under a different manager, so you just want to stick with it, or you want to stick with him because you actually see like something good and you actually see that he could turn it around, like, because there could be two different things, you know what I mean? Like, you can keep the manager because you don't think that the next manager might not be the person, or you can keep him because you actually like him and see good things. So that's what I want to know, because it'll kind of give us like a more of an insight of how you're feeling behind it, you know?
No, that's fair. So my feeling is that I don't know if it's going to work out with Ten Hag, and there's a few reasons why. It could be the job is too big for him, and I don't say out of his depth like he doesn't know what he's doing. It's just that like the pressure of United being the United manager with the structure that's been in place the last couple of years, I feel like we've broken managers. As far as it not working out, I think most of it has to do with the system he's trying to play, and that's something you can blame on him. He could have picked a system that was a little bit more, not like counterattacking, but something that was less 100% gung ho. I think his system has been difficult to play based on the type of players that are necessary. Like, you need midfielders that are both athletic and technically gifted and have great engines and don't get injured. We don't have those players. Like, Bruno is the closest player to fit that bill, but like his form has left him and he's been terrible for the better part of the last 3-4 months, right? And then the forward line you need like those technically gifted players who are both athletic as well and make the right decisions. Rashford is technically gifted, he's athletic, makes terrible decisions. Rasmus has bad technical skills, or he has technical issues. Xerxes is probably the best player that fits his profile, but he just got here. He's a young player. He's not the finished article. The way that his system leaves the defense exposed, you need guys who are big, athletic, can handle those long headers, but they also have to be technical because they're the guys who have the ball the most because of the system he plays. I think the system he chose and the system he plays may not be suited for such high-level football, or at least for Premier League football, because of the floor of athleticism that you see in this league every night or every match. And that's something that like he could have picked a different system. He could have coached a different system, and that's on him. And he's going to be the one who ultimately bears the responsibility there. But I think that the thought that like he's some terrible manager that didn't know what he was doing, like I think that's disingenuous. I think it's not going to work out. I honestly believe that. But again, to answer your question, not to get off too far, to answer your question, Kevin, I think we give this a little bit longer just because, we do have a lot of new players here and I've seen some positive signs. But am I optimistic long-term he's the guy to take us back? No, I don't think so. I think, eventually Ineos is going to make that change. But, like, I don't think they should run into that change just because, we don't like Ten Hag and we think he should go. I think they should make that change when they feel like they have the right manager lined up and they think he's going to be best, in place to make this squad and this organization, what it should be from United's history and everything else.
Now, Chris, let me ask you, what are some of the positive signs that you've seen? You said you've seen some positive signs with the new signings that we've done. What are some of the positive signs? Because, like, I'm yet to see one positive sign from, like, the signings that he's brought in.
Mazraoui has been our best player all season. Mazraoui's been our best player all season. His like defensively, he's looked a little rough.
Mazraoui is your best player all season ahead of Garnacho. Garnacho comes off the bench. He creates more chances than most of the players that started on the pitch. And
Garnacho hasn't looked great when he started, in my opinion. But go ahead, sorry.
Now, anytime he comes off the bench, he's created more chances and scored more goals than most of the players that started the games this season. If a good manager, it doesn't take you, like I keep on saying, it doesn't take a good manager 2-3 seasons for you to realize the mistakes in your team, to rectify that. A whole season, we could say the first season is a trial season. We accept the mistake. The second season, we could say, okay, you're still working on the season. But this is the beginning of your third season at the club. You've only played 7 games. You've won 2. You drew 2. You lost 3 games. Come on, Chris.
Which player looks good? Which player you think looks
His
good under
first
Eric Ten
season
Hag?
was the
No.
his
This
first
season,
season was
this
our okay,
season.
okay. He
Which
just
player
said the
looks
first
good?
season you're making mistakes, you're trying out. His first season was the best season by any Premier League
Oh
manager,
my God!
not
Why are
named
we talking
Pep.
about the first season on
Chris,
the third
you're
No,
season?
you're
sounding like
saying
Ten
it's
Why
the
are
Hag.
we
same
going back,
same
You're
bro?
mistakes.
sounding like Ten
Why
Hag,
are we
guys. You're
pretending
sounding
like
like
it
Ten
didn't
Hag.
No, this
happen?
guy is like Eric Ten Hag, bro. This guy is.
You're
Why
sounding
are we
like
pretending like it didn't happen?
What do you mean, dude? Last
You're
season,
pretending like no, you're because you're saying like okay,
we
first
don't
season
have
you
those
can make
players no
mistakes.
more. We don't
Second
have those
season,
players that we had 2 years
what
ago. We have
players?
different
What
players.
players don't we have?
The Wan-Bissaka was in here. He used Wan-Bissaka. He used
Delo was here. He used Delo.
yeah. Who else did he use? Fred, McTominay. They're not here anymore.
Okay.
Martial's not here
Bruno
anymore.
was here. Martial
Yeah,
barely
Yeah,
played.
but
Yeah,
Bruno's
okay.
looking worse.
Vegas isn't here.
Bruno's looking worse than
Sabitzer isn't here. Rashford,
exactly.
Anthony, whatever. Okay, fine. Move on to this year. Mazraoui has been our best player all year. He has looked very good in the Fulham match, in Crystal Palace, in all the cup matches.
I
Mazraoui's
agree.
been good,
I agree with you.
except for Tottenham, where he looked a little ragged against the pace of Timo Werner, right? But like that's just the way those guys are super fast. Timo Werner didn't get anything, but Mazraoui isn't what?
We could have lost like 6 goals to Tottenham if Timo Werner scored all the chances that he got. Timo Werner got
But
like
he didn't.
4 or 5 chances, but he couldn't score them. Not because Mazraoui stopped him, because he wasn't that clinically good.
Yeah, and Onana made good saves. Okay, fine. Onana stepped up and did a good job. But like Mazraoui, I think has been our best player this year.
Who else?
I think
Who else? Mazraoui.
I didn't like
else? Onana.
I didn't love De Ligt as a signing. Oh yeah, Onana's been good this year,
I
except
agree,
for
I
that
agree.
one goal against
I agree.
Liverpool, the third goal of Liverpool. I thought Onana has looked great. He saved the penalty. He had the double save against Crystal Palace. I think he's looked amazing. He's shown the way that people came after Onana. Like you got to give this guy credit. He's a mentality monster, right? Delo has looked good this year.
I agree.
I think Delo and Mazraoui, they've had issues because we haven't been able to rotate them the way we've rotated the rest of the squad, the forwards, etc. But like those guys are starting to look a little tired, but I think Delo has looked well this year.
So that's 3
right?
players. That's 3 players out of
I'm
how
going
many
through the
squad?
squad. I'm going
Out of
through
a
the
squad
squad.
of
Yeah.
what, 22 players, 24 players. 3 players have look decent. What are we going? We're like nitpicking on
So we're
what
not
player
counting
has actually
anymore.
been well. Everyone else has been dreadful. Everyone else has been terrible. That's my point. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it should be, if you go to City.
Kobe Mainoo's been good this year.
No, he's been trash. He's been bad. It's because of the
He has
system.
not been trash.
Yes,
he has not been trash. He is first in the Premier League in interceptions.
Oh my God! But he's not here. But he's not here for that though. He's misprofiling Mainu in my opinion, because Mainu is the type of player that should play further up. He's the type of player that should be in the 8 or in the 10 position where Bruno's trying to do. He should be in the 8, or he should be attacking. He's keeping Mainu very far off from the other midfielders, and I think that is exposing him that's why he's becoming like this player that we didn't see that at first, and he's also young, so I feel like to manage Kobe Mainu and it's very important and it's very crucial, and I don't think he's managing him very well. So what I think is that if we keep this manager, I think he's gonna, like, instead of improving Mainu, he's just gonna make him worse. And you can say that for a lot of other players. You can say that for Garnacho. You can say that for Rasmus. You can say that for Xerxes. These are all good players. These are all decent players. They're not. Xerxes is not a bum. Xerxes is not a bad player. You know what I mean?
I don't think Xerxes has been bad this year.
I think he thinks he's been okay. I think he's been decent. His build-up play has been good, but he hasn't been clinical. Rasmus scored what, like he hasn't been that great, even though he hasn't played that much. I get it. You know what I mean? So what I'm trying to say is,
3 matches and he has
yeah,
1 goal.
Yeah. What I'm trying to say is that we don't look like a team that's improving, or we don't look like we're a team that's developing players. And I feel like you can talk about other managers. You can talk about Brighton. You can talk about Aston Villa. You can talk about Man City, Liverpool, even Arsenal. They develop their players. You can name a bunch of players under those managers that have improved, not 2 or 3. You know what I mean? So that's my point. Like, it shouldn't be to the point where there's 2 or 3 players improving. It should be to the point where the whole team looks good, and there's like 2 or 3 that look out of the system as opposed to three looking in. You know what I mean? So that's what I think, and I don't see it changing. You know what I mean?
Did you see the system against Crystal Palace? Did you think we look good against Crystal Palace?
I think so. I think so in the first half, but we if you look at that game, who created the best chances that game? It was Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace created the with the Eze goals that he missed, and I think he missed two clear shots. I feel like we don't create chances like that. We create chances out of individualism, right? Like individual brilliance. I feel like we don't create chances as a team. If you look at that Crystal Palace chance, it was like a team buildup, and that's what I want to see. I want to see like I want us to score goals. I want us to score tap-ins. I want us to score not worldies or all these type of goals that we're kind of scoring. You know what I mean? So I like the game against Crystal Palace, but I didn't want to get too carried away because it was the first half and we didn't even win the game. You know what I mean? So it was okay, but it wasn't
It's
like,
still a
oh
good
my
game.
god.
It's still a good game because last season, if you could remember, we lost 4-0 at Crystal Palace last season, and we've been able to get a draw. We've been able to get a point from Crystal Palace, even though we couldn't like perform as we wanted to perform. We couldn't win the game, but at least for me, if you ask me, I could say it's an improvement from last season. We've managed to get a point from Crystal Palace, which is like something good for United. At least, even though we are dropping a lot of points, like a game like Crystal Palace, like Brentford, like Southampton, we should be winning these games. We shouldn't be dropping any points from this game. If we cannot lose, if we cannot win against Liverpool, we cannot win against Man City or Aston Villa or these big teams, this mid-table teams like West Ham, Crystal, but we should be picking the points from there. We should be at least that was
Absolutely.
sustain us. But now, if you see, we are far away from getting into the top four, even though like the league is just like it's still young, the league is still fresh. But you could see like there is a lot of work for us to get into the top four again.
Chris, there are different managers out there like that can get but the you can get more out of these players. You know what I mean? Like I don't think we should just look at Ten Hag and give him time because we've been giving him time. We've given him a chance. Ineos has given him the chance. To be honest, he should have been sacked after the FA Cup and left on a high. And my feelings and thoughts on that. It should have been
And,
that way, but instead they give him an opportunity,
and
and he
United,
still go for it, Mo.
United is not the. Calvin, sorry to come in. Yeah,
No, it's okay.
this United is on the pedestal. We are on the level like Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Man City. Just name these teams. Barcelona will not tolerate a coach that will make them like get to 8 in the league in a season. You know, Barcelona not tolerate that. Real Madrid will not tolerate that. Bayern Munich will not tolerate that. Man City, even now, Man City, if Pep Guardiola leaves, the new manager that will come in, if Man City finish 8, they will not tolerate that. Even Liverpool, they will not tolerate that with Ancelotti. Let's say Ancelotti finish 8 with Liverpool this season. You think they'll tolerate and give him
And won
okay?
a
Let's just
Super Copa and won a Super Copa. They're not gonna give a damn about the Super Copa or the they're not gonna give a crap. They're gonna give a crap about the league and the Champions League. I agree with what you were saying more like our standards have dropped and that's obviously we can go deeper into that for the Glazers but now Ineos for me I'm calling out Ineos right now because Ineos you're the one that made the decision to keep this guy and you know what I'm sorry I'm just like going on a rant right now but for me you can do all these good things in the recruitment you can recruit the best players the best in class you can recruit all these Omar Baradas and all these people but if you don't have the most important piece of recruitment, in my opinion, is the manager. And then that's to get you need the manager to perform, to have these players to perform. Okay, I've given you the tools. Now you go and perform. And they kept this guy. The strategic review that they did everything. And they said, okay, this guy's the manager. Okay, cool. I didn't like it. I thought it was a red flag. And I was like, you know what? I want to give Ineos the benefit of the doubt because they just got in here and this fact that they haven't sacked him yet is it's really alarming because we thought we were going to be a team the Glazers by the way Ed Woodward would have sacked this guy already Ed Woodward would have sacked this guy probably since last season and these guys are still keeping him in there so it needs to be called out Ineos have done good things but for me what is the point of having all these good things if you're going to keep the manager like they're allowing our standards to drop, and I don't like it. I don't like it, man. So I'm on India's watch. I'm on India's watch because I don't know, but they I think that maybe they made us kind of like think that we were back because they hired all these people best in class, but yet we're still eighth. We're still the same. We're still the same team, even with the structure. So it's a red flag to me, man. Because at the end of the day, who sacks Eric Ten Hag? the board. Who keeps Eric Ten Hag? The board. We can keep going on the blame. Oh, we can put the blame on the manager. The manager, yeah, we know he needs to go, but who's responsible for giving him that job? Who's responsible for sacking him? It's Ineos, man. It needs to be called out. I'm sorry.
Chris, how long will you keep Ten Hag at United for? With this kind of performance, how long will you keep Eric Ten Hag at United?
Look. So here's what I'm thinking, right? And I get what you're saying. There's a phrase in American football, Jimmys and Joes, not X's and O's.
Bro, the Jets, they sacked the Jets guy. They sacked the Jets guy, and it's already like in the beginning of the season. They have bigger standards than us, bro. Come on.
Stop. Jimmys and Joes, not X's and O's. They sacked him for another reason, obviously. Aaron Rodgers didn't like him, and players have a little bit more power in the American sports. But anyway, the point is with Ten Hag, okay. Again, I agree. This could go real bad real quick. All right, but it could also turn around. We're 5 points off of the relegation zone, but we're 6 points off of fourth place. Okay, so if we get 3 wins in a row in the league, I'm not saying it's going to happen. This team is totally capable. This manager, the players, they're totally capable of providing us with stinkers at Brentford or any of these other results or these other venues we have coming up. But I'd say we give it till Christmas, right? Again, I'm not trying to make excuses. Ugarte has been at the club for 8 weeks. There have been international trips for 4 of those 8 weeks, 2 international breaks for the entire time he's been at the club, right? De Ligt and Martinez, they have never played together before. I know they both played at Ajax. I know De Ligt and Mazraoui played together at Bayern. That's probably why they had some sort of connection at the beginning of the season, right? Xerxes has looked good. I know he hasn't been clinical. He hasn't been finishing, but you can see the way the buildup has been when him and Rashford have played off each other. Him and Ahmed have played off each other. Listen, Mount, obviously he's coming up on, I don't even know. Luke Shaw at least gave us some healthy seasons. Martial gave us some healthy seasons. I feel like Mount has been injured basically from day one. But when he was playing, you saw what he was giving with us. Christian Eriksen has had a revival. Casemiro had the stinker versus Liverpool. Basically took us out of the match by himself, a match I thought we were in. Casemiro individually lost that match for us. He started to look a little bit better. Cubby Mainu, I agree, probably should be playing further forward, but I think he's played decently well this year. I think just from his high standards, I think people are getting down on him because that's what you do. You build the guy up and then tear him back down again. I think there's a world, and it might just be a 15, 20, 25% chance where everything clicks enough where we look like a decent team. We look like we're all on the same page. And I think we can do that with the run of fixtures that we have coming up, because I think it's a run of winnable fixtures. We can get a style of play that, everyone's on the same page. Not to say we don't have a style of play, but I think we can get somewhere where everyone's on the same page. We can get some results. We can turn it around a little bit. And then we can see if we can move towards top 4 or at least, winning maybe the Europa League to get into the Champions League next year, because we need to be a Champions League club. But, Ineos themselves, they came out and they said their plan is to win the Champions League by, the 150th anniversary, I think it is.
Yeah,
2028. Yeah. So the 27-28 season.
Omar Berada said that. Forget Omar Berada. He's just saying he's just an employee. He could just get sacked today, just like Eric Ten Hag. So that's just his stories.
I get it. Aston Villa, Brighton, Palace, those clubs, they're doing a great job. They're punching above their weight. I just looked it up. Villa, they've spent $618 million since 2020. We've spent $880 million. Yeah, that's not a nothing difference, but they've spent money too.
And they are seeing the results of their money that they spend. They are seeing the outcome of the results. Because being able to beat Bayern Munich at Villa Park for the first time in 40 years, They are seeing results of their man. If you're going to spend £800 and perform like that in Champions League, they played 2 games in Champions League and they've won all of it. And this is their first time performing in Champions League.
This is why we can't afford
Look,
to keep this manager. We're gonna fall further behind, and these teams, Chelsea's gonna go in front of us, Aston Villa's gonna go in front of us. We're just
and
gonna
even
keep
look
falling
at what
further.
Look at what Enzo Maresca is doing with Chelsea. Chelsea are playing like the team, like Enzo Maresca have been managing them for the last 5 years. Now going to Old Trafford, Stamford Bridge now, you are scared of playing Chelsea at Stamford Bridge now because they'll destroy you with the style of play that Enzo Maresca is
Bro,
playing
they'll
at.
destroy us at Old Trafford in November, bro.
Look at Sancho. Look at the way Sancho is playing. Sancho is so excited. He's always calling for the ball. He's always excited to play. What's the difference? Look at what Scott McTominay is doing at what's the name, Napoli. Scott McTominay is dominating the midfield of Napoli with Parascanella and everything. Scott McTominay is commanding the midfield. But look at what's happening at United in the next 7 games. Guys, I'm gonna ask you if after this international game we're playing Brentford, we're playing Fenerbahce, we're playing West Ham, we're playing Leicester, Chelsea, Park, and then Leicester before we go to the next international break. How many games do we think we can win from this, Chris?
How many games do I think we should win?
We can win, yeah.
Okay, here's what I think. I think we win against Brentford.
You said we win against Brentford.
I think Fenerbahce's a draw. I
play
think
Another draw. Damn.
Yeah, I think Fenerbahce's a draw away in Turkey.
Which makes 11 games in the Europa League without a win for Erik ten Hag.
Yeah,
11 games European without a win, which is a good record, yeah.
If you make it to the knockout round and you win the Europa League, it doesn't matter. No one remembers what your record was in the
We're
group
not winning
stage.
the Europa League.
If you make it to the knockout round, you don't know that. Listen, I agree. Listen, we need results. Maresca looks good. What's we call it? Whoever, the guy from whatever. Maresca looks good. Ange looked good last year, right? Ange doesn't look like the beginning of Ten Hag's season, the first season. Gary Neville went on and he was like, Manchester United messed up. They signed Ten Hag. They could have gotten Antonio Conte. Why didn't they get Conte? What happened with Conte? He got fired by the end of the year, right? Like it's 7 games into the season. Because my point is it's 7 games into the season. Okay, things have looked bad, and again, it's 2 years and 7 games into Ten Hag's career, and it hasn't been good enough at United. I agree. Okay, I'm just saying, like, we have the new structure in place. We have Ineos is here. They've brought in good players. Let's give these players a chance to like play together. Because if you look at it, like if you look at Villa, if you look at not Chelsea as much, but if you look at Crystal Palace, there's no pressure being the manager at those places. There's no pressure being the players at those places. The things that happen there, the players make a mistake, they do something dumb. It's on TV for 20 minutes, and then that's it. Ten Hag won a testimonial match in Holland on the last international break, and it was wall-to-wall coverage about how he lost, right? Like, it's different gravy. But I agree. Things need to change, and if he can't change between now and the next international break, then yes, we need to figure out who the next manager is going to be. But I think
I hear you on that.
If we're firing him, like there better be an amazing plan in place, because it's just going to be another lost season where we're giving up the season, and we're giving up on the players as well.
I just think it's inevitable. Like why prolong it? And this is the way I look at it, right? Like if you have a feeling it's not going to work, then pull the plug right now. We can't afford to like fall further behind, because by the time it's Christmas, we might be closer to the relegation league, and halfway through the season, it's going to be a lot harder to even to even go close to top 4. You know what I mean? If we need to save the season now, otherwise, for me, we're gonna fall further behind. So that's just I want him gone like right now.
Even if we want to sack him, the only manager available is probably like Ruud van Nistelrooy try to take over. If not, Thomas Tuchel, Julius Nagelsmann.
I'd take either one. Look what happened with Company. Look what Company's doing in Bayern. He's a championship manager.
Yeah, England are already in talks with Thomas Tuchel for him to be the next manager of England. So Thomas Tuchel probably will be out of the table by Monday. Probably he might get his deal sorted with England. So now you might not have any manager available apart from Julius Nagelsmann and Zidane. Like, good managers are available, because Poch is with the United States here. Poch is with the States national team. So like here, we might not have any manager. So probably you might just stick with Ruud van Nistelrooy to the end of the season, or maybe who knows.
I take Tuco. I take Tuco because at least for the seat, I'll take Tuco as interim. Not maybe I don't know about like giving him a deal, but I'd take Tuco as an
Mhm.
interim because at least Tuco, like, you can see that he's actually a great coach and a great manager. The way he speaks, the way his knowledge is about. I feel like he can get the the best out of these players for the time being. Something long term, I don't see him as like a solution, but I don't think we should be thinking about projects and long term ideas right now because we're not there yet. We need I feel like we're trying to build this project when the project is not ready to be built. We have to kind of build up to that. So whether it's Rude or whether it's Tuco, I'd rather take Tuco because he's actually experienced, and that'll be my first choice. Obviously there's Nagelsmann and all these people, but the thing is, when people say that there is no one available or who else is better than Eric Ten Hag right now, there's so many people available, and you know whose job that is? That's Ineos' job. Because look what happened with Xavi Alonso. No one was thinking about Xavi Alonso and saying, "Oh yeah, this guy is the next best manager." But look what happened in Real Sociedad, and now look what he did to Bayern. That, you know why? Because they have people who scout and be like, listen, this guy is coming up, and I think this guy could, get the best out of this squad and will suit our style, the style that we want. So now it's on Ineos to decide that. So there is definitely managers out there. Look what happened with Bayern. They got a championship manager, and they're cooking on their company right now. I know that they lost against Villa, but I watched the game and they created chances. They just weren't clinical. I don't think that was the manager's fault that they lost that game. So there's managers out there that can get that can get better out of these players, and these players are bad. Some of them are bad, but majority are decent. The majority of these players are very decent. So for me, it's like when people want to say, "Oh, it's just the players, we're not good enough." Yeah, I get it. We're not good enough to challenge even with the better manager, but we're definitely good enough to make top four. And with this
Yeah.
manager, forget about it.
Chris, all eyes on you now. You are Eric Ten Hag's rep, so all eyes on you now, Chris.
Yo, he's the attorney, Eric Ten Hag's attorney.
I'm just saying it's been bad. It hasn't been bad as everyone has been making out, but things definitely need to change. All right. And
Like,
like firing him, I feel
and
like
even
we're almost like
and
to
even
make that move now. Ineos looks so dumb for giving him the extension in the summer. And then if they make the wrong decision on the next manager, like how far back are we? Right?
and
Like
you
if
see,
it comes to the point where it's not tenable, then yeah, get rid of him. I just don't think we're there yet.
yeah. And even Chris, look at United. Like my United, the whole setup of the national of the team, the squad, from the academy, from the women's team, and for the first team. The women's team are performing like look at their league, the under 18s women's team, the first team women's team, the academy from the under 17, under 16, under 17, under 20s. They're all performing. The only problem now at United to get the structure right is the first team. That's
And you know
where the
what's
problem
funny?
is. But
The academy system, they're playing 10 hog ball.
yeah, so that's
Like
where the
he
problem.
installed his style. That's my point, and I think this might be
Exactly.
what kills him is that if you don't have that, like talent superiority that he has, like United's under academy, they're the like most athletic, best team usually. They have technical players across most of the games they play, and I think that like when you have that, either you have the technical and if you have like a high enough floor at every position, then the system looks amazing. But like if you have a few pieces that don't fit, then the system looks terrible. And like it's on him to play a different system, and it's on him to maybe bring in better players with Ineos and with the team, the
What,
structure before that. But
what
like
pieces do
I
you think
think
are missing? What pieces? You said like sorry to interrupt you. You said that there's
no, of
some
course
pieces missing in the system. Like I'm just curious on what you meant by that. Like what players specifically or positions?
it's going to sound crazy, but like I think our center backs are missing the physicality side. Like Lisandro Martinez is amazing. I think he's amazing, but you can take advantage if he doesn't have the right partner. You can see what Porto did. They sent those long balls and like he got worn down. I think he's missing a little something this year, but I think that is something where if we had that's why we made the switch to Evans and Maguire, because people were like, oh, we can just play around the press. Instead of just trying to play through them, we're just going to go long and then we're going to win the second ball. I think in the midfield, he's struggling because he either has to play Ericsson, because I think it's Bruno's fault. Bruno is terrible right now with chance creation. He's losing the ball. He's not making the right decisions. So he has to play Ericsson. Playing Ericsson means the midfield can't get around the pitch as well. So we get played through when we try to press. In the beginning of the season, he was playing Mount, Casemiro, and Manu, and our press looked amazing. Like, yeah, Fulham, they started off very well, but from like the 15th minute to like the 80th minute, we had the ball the entire time. Every time they've got the ball, they were just kicking it long because they couldn't get around our press. So like, and then the forward line, again, I think he has the right pieces. It's more about form and guys coming, and learning how to play together and making the right decisions. And, Xerxes is a great talent. He's still a young player. I don't think he's ever going to be like a 30, 40. I mean, maybe he will. You never know. You look at Zlatan. Zlatan hit 30 and then started scoring 30 goals a season. But, I think he's a guy who can like knit the play together similar to a way that, Firmino did, or those other kind of like false nines, or Martial did when Martial was firing in Ten Hag's first season. I think Xerxes can kind of be that guy. And I think like having that rotation, I think if we had one more winger on the right, like it would be really cool if we had, what's his name? The dude who went to Bayern for Crystal Palace, Olise, Michael Olise. Yeah. It'd be really good if we had him, but like, I don't know, man. Like I've seen the vision. I've seen what he's trying to do.
So we do have the tools, because you said that we don't have like you said, you mentioned like the tools. We do. You just mentioned Xerxes. You just mentioned Ericsson and Bruno. Who's the one that's picking Bruno? You said,
but no. My point is, he has to pick Ericsson because Bruno is playing so poorly. And yeah, I agree.
But
I think Bruno should be dropped.
He didn't drop Bruno. But he didn't drop Bruno.
I'm with you on that one. He should drop Bruno.
Exactly. So he makes the decisions as a manager. He has the tools, but he's stubborn. That's his problem. And it's, I feel like with him, he's an egomaniac. He wants to prove everyone right or something like that, when it shouldn't be about that. It should be about what's best for the team. And I don't like that. I don't like, bro, you play for Man United. You think like you won a FA Cup and a Carabao Cup. You're nothing big, bro. You won Eredivisie, cool. Frank de Boer won Eredivisie 4 times, came to the Premier League, got sacked that first season. That don't mean crap, man. I just don't like the way this guy carries himself. Like personally, I don't think he's Man United material. I think the pressure's making him crumble. I think in the press conferences, you can see that this guy is out of his depth. You can see the answers. Like I know you lie, right? I know you have to lie, but you don't have to gaslight the fans. You don't have to like be delusional to the fans and say, "Oh yeah, I won." Well, we'll see at the end of the season when we win trophies. We'll see at the end of the season, bro. What are you talking about? We're talking about right now. Why can't you just explain the game? Arne Slot broke down how we play and how they were gonna break us down in a minute, literally a minute, perfectly, better than Erik ten Hag could have done. This guy's social skills, I feel like it's not even there. He's falling out with players. I think he fell out with Rashford. I think so. There was been reports of it happening as well. He fell out with Casemiro. He fell out with Varane. He fell out with Sancho. He fell out with a lot of these players. This guy is just not a good manager. And I get what you mean, like that you think he's a good coach and manager. Okay, maybe, but not for us. He's not our level. He should just go back to Eredivisie or another team, another club that is his level. United is not his level. And I think that the first season we saw good things, but it wasn't sustainable. And evidently we this is evidence of it. The football that he's playing was not sustainable and will not be sustainable because he doesn't change the system. It's on him at the end of the day. He's the one that's doing all these things. That's why for me, I don't want to really talk or give him any excuses, because for me there ain't any anymore. He's ran out.
Okay, that has been interesting. Like very strong points, Kelvin. Like strong points, Chris.
No, but I feel like look, at the end of the day, we want the best for our club. We want United to win. Whether you want the manager in or out or whatever the case is, we want the best for our team. So we could only speak for what we think is best for our club. And for me, it just hurts, right? To see, and I feel bad for match going fans like you, Mo, who travel every game to go every game to just watch that, to take the time out of their lives and their families just to go watch that. Like, we watch football for one reason, right? For entertainment and to enjoy it. We became United fans because we were the best team in the world. We became United fans because we played scintillating football. We're the best club in the world. This is not the standard of a best club in the world. This is not the reason why we fell in love with Man United. So let's be honest with ourselves. Let's stop beating around the bush and just
And,
be honest. And that's why for
you,
me, I have these strong points.
yeah, in New Eric Ten Hag, yeah, he's lost to Liverpool. Like he's lost to Liverpool. I think 7-0 before this to win at Old Trafford. And when we were playing Liverpool at Old Trafford, I was at Old Trafford. Like it felt like watching like a Champions League, like a Premier League, like Man City playing Barnsley or Man City playing like FC or that kind of thing. You see the dominance, you see the difference, and the goals, the way they were scoring the goals, and like the Liverpool fans, they took over Old Trafford, even though they like the fans at Trafford End were singing, they were chanting, still even though we're down 3-0 by the Liverpool fans. And I couldn't believe, like, is this Old Trafford? Is this Manchester United I'm watching? The Manchester United that I know, like, it's so sad. People were leaving the stadium before it was in 80 minutes, like where I was sitting, majority of people have left. People pay a lot of money to go and support this club, and they always leave the park disappointed. Imagine how far people travel. People travel outside the UK, like to come and watch this game, and yesterday they go back home disappointed. Like, come on, people are getting like emotionally traumatized. We don't deserve this. We deserve better. Yeah, we get emotionally traumatized. I mean, I don't mind. Like, I've been, like you could say, I've been like Eric Ten Hag in the whole of last season. I was firing. I was supporting Ten Hag. The FA Cup, the Community Shield, I was at Wembley supporting Eric Ten Hag in Ten Hag out. You could watch most of my videos. But now I feel like it's not enough. Is enough. If you're not able to turn things around, like we've given you the chance, you've gotten all the support that you want. If things are not working, that doesn't mean you're a bad manager. It doesn't mean like you don't know what you're on about. But it seems like it's not working here. It could work somewhere else, but it's not working here. Like Unai Emery, he said it didn't work at Arsenal, but it's working at Aston Villa. That doesn't mean he's a bad manager. So, like, yeah, if it's not working, you just go and let someone go and let someone else come in. That's the only point I could say. That's the only thing I could say.
Yeah, Chris, and you said it yourself that you feel like the pressure is too big for him. And to be honest, like, you need to be able to handle pressure of your United manager. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I
And I
think the
just feel
pressure
like,
is too big for everyone.
it's too
I
big.
don't
Yeah,
know who
and
would
sometimes
handle the
he
pressure
yeah,
better.
but you can
even
manage it in different ways. And
pressure is too big. He sometimes even goes to press conference and he couldn't. He lack answers. He doesn't even know what to say sometimes because the question keeps coming, non-stop questions, like different questions from all angles, and he keep on
That's
saying,
happened to everybody.
let's stick to the plan, bro. Let's stick to the plan. And there's been this main video of Eric Ten Hag, like, let's stick to this plan. Let's stick to the plan. A manager like, what's the name? Pep Guardiola knows he goes to press conference. He knows the kind of questions he's asking. He's going to be asked because he knows the direction that the team is going. But United, you don't know where the kind of questions that's coming off board.
he
And
be
like,
saying, he says horrible things like, "Oh yeah, we played well, we played like, like he's like, what was the issues? Oh no, like he just gaslights us and like lies to us. Like, yeah, we played well. No, we didn't. Like, you know what I mean? I get it if you're lying, but at least be honest. Be like, it was a disgraceful performance. It was a terrible performance. We need to do this. We need to do that. We need to do that. I would respect him more if he said that instead of just lying to us, saying that, yeah, we played
Remember when
well
Klopp
when we
got
clearly
mad and
didn't.
called the reporter fat?
Yeah, but yeah, but like this is happening. This is happening. I feel like every
To
game.
every manager. To every
yeah,
manager.
I agree, but not to
It
the level
happened to
where
him.
Eric.
It happened to Ali. It happened to Jose. Happened to Louis. Happened to Moyes.
I don't think. I
It's
don't think.
just
I don't think none of those managers. Uh, uh, I don't think none of those managers got to this level where this guy is just like lying the way he is, because that's what he is. He's a liar. He like
nah,
literally he lies in the
Ali.
press
Ali
conference
lied every.
the
Ali
whole
lied
time,
every press conference. But I
and
mean,
he
Jose was saying stuff like that too. Like
yeah,
you
nah,
but
know,
they
he
have
was saying
he had
they
pedigree.
lost the Champions League match, and he was like, we weren't going to beat them anyway, and it was
yeah,
like
Cisse,
Sociedad.
that was the truth. That was the truth. That was the truth.
Exactly,
They're not good enough to
exactly.
beat him. And he said United was the worst team that he's good, like, to win a trophy with this United team. That was like his best job ever. Jose was saying that everything the way it's supposed to be said. He's not lying. He doesn't like twist words. If we don't perform well, he come out and said, yeah, we don't perform well. We don't deserve to be this team. These players are not supposed to be in this team. This United. He did mention names of players, and yes, still, it's still true. So for me, it's been a tough season, like a beginning of the season. But hopefully, I'm hopefully like before we go on the international break, maybe we could win maybe 5 out of the 7 games that we have. We could probably win maybe 5. That could probably push us closer to the top 4. Even if you cannot get in, it could get us closer and just leave that 14th position that we are, because we don't deserve to be there.
We don't. We don't deserve to be. Well, yeah, we do actually. We do deserve to be 14th because the way we've been playing.
Yeah,
But
with this,
I get what you
No, if we
mean.
get top 4, we deserve it. Listen, it's not. Listen, I know what you're saying, but like, there's a phrase. My favorite phrase. Jalen Rose. I don't know if he like invented it, but he popularized it. But he says, "You don't get paid what you deserve. You get paid when you have the leverage to negotiate." Right. So you don't
yeah,
get top 4 because you deserve top 4. You get top 4 because you get the results to put you in top 4. So I understand what you're saying. Like, we're all traumatized and we're all taking it differently, right? But at the end of the day, we just want United to succeed, and we're all rooting for United to do well. And if they're not doing well, and if it comes to the point, then yeah, you got to find someone else. I don't think that you wave some magic wand and things get better. But at the same time, you can't just keep doing things that aren't working and hoping they're going to turn around. You have to actually see some results. So I think this is the time. I think this is the period where Eric Ten Hag and this squad need to put up or shut up. And, we'll have this conversation again in a month. And, hopefully United are playing well, but, that's just hope. It's not anything that I'm convinced is going to happen.
Yeah, I hope so as well. I hope so. It's been an interesting conversation, Chris. Kevin,
Yes, it
thanks.
has. It has
Yeah,
been indeed.
Cathartic a little bit. This is my therapy.
I mean, it will get. I don't think it won't get better to a point like where we're gonna be challenging, but it'll definitely get better to what it is now, and that's what I want. At least I just want to step forward, and it just feels like we're taking steps back, and that's all I want. Just progress. And like you said, like first season it was progress, second season terrible, third season it's looking even worse. You know what I mean? So it's like the trajectory of this guy is not clear. At least with people like to say Arteta, oh Arteta this, Arteta that. Arteta's trajectory was up, right? He he changed the system to suit the players, and eventually it became to what he is now. So you have to see something in order for someone in any walk of life, right? Like I know Chris, I know if you work a office job, Mo, I'm sure you work too, right? It In your job, if you're not performing well, they're gonna look for someone else to replace you, and that is in any walk of life. There's no excuse for the man just because he's the manager of Man United doesn't excuse him from that. He still has a job to do, and he's not doing it very well. So what do you do when you're not doing a job very well? You don't make up excuses saying all these things that like, oh, he didn't have the structure or this and that. No, you find the right guy for the job. So I just I just feel like it's inevitable at this point. It's gonna happen. Just when, I don't know. And then who's next would be the interesting topic. Maybe we can talk about that on another show for sure.
Yeah. It's been an interesting conversation. Yeah, we should fix a date. Like we should maybe choose another date or a date that we could schedule and just come on live again. Probably maybe next week or something like that. Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, for sure. I think we should talk again. Like I said, I feel a little better getting this off my chest. I think my wife is sick of hearing about Man United at this point. So we should definitely do these a couple more times. But yeah, thanks for hopping on. Listen, Kevin, Mo, appreciate you guys. I know you guys are both passionate United fans. Kevin with me in the States. I know you're watching on, bar TV, home TV, whatever, screaming at the TV. Mo, I know you're often, at the games, traveling here and there, talking
Big
to
up,
people
Mo.
outside the
Big up,
stadium.
Mo.
Yeah, but Mo,
Big up, bro.
hardest working man in show business over here. But it's something we're all clearly passionate United fans. We care about the club. We want the club to succeed, and that's really all that matters. But hopefully, they can turn it around in some way and at least give us something worth watching for the next few matches while they figure out what to do. But again, thanks again, guys, for hopping on. Looking forward to talking to you guys again in the near future. And come on, United, like turn it around. Give us something, man. Come on.
Come on, Ten Hag.
Boo, bun this Ten Hag guy. Bun this guy, bro. Get out of my club, bro.
Ciao, peace out.
Take care, man.
Peace.